disagree, the Kalenjins and the Kikuus and everybody.
My whole objective in the remaining part of my term is to unify Kenyans. I find it unfortunate that in the process of unifying Kenyans, people feel like they're being left out. It does not allow competitive politics, which is always what ruins our country, right, to get in the way of dealing with real issues that Kenyans are concerned about.
Gentlemen, I've heard several leaders of your caliber talk about no real unity coming out of the building bridges. On one end, President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga seem to be very strong and solid on building bridges. But on the other end, especially the faction that supports Deputy President William Ruto, and they're really unhappy. They think they're being mistreated. They talk about how would we be building bridges when this is still happening? How comes this side is isolated and all? And what you mirrored to, the fact that a deputy president will not have peace in his own country, and we'll be talking about insubordination, you know? It's a huge thing in this country. So looking at what the president said today and talking about building bridges and the hope that he had when this started is even believable, because the opinion is divided whether the country is really on that path or not. Let me begin with Prof.
I think the simple way of understanding this thing is just look at BBI. This is politics. I've argued that BBI is a political infrastructure to enable Uhuru and Raila do certain things. If you are to believe them on the steps of Harambee House, then they are thinking about the bigger good of this country. They are addressing some of the issues Richard is talking about. And there's a twin problem in this country, which Uhuru and Raila would want to address. This has been the problem of one community feeling like they are entitled. So there's this sense of entitlement from one community, and the other community feeling betrayed and persecuted throughout our history. So unless you address this, you will never address the politics of this country, and therefore you never even mount development. So if we believe Uhuru, that's what they want to do. Now, if they are going to address this big problem, they need political power. And therefore BBI, other than addressing the things it is talking about, other than addressing the things that are contained in that report and the others that will come after phase 2, is also a political infrastructure that will ensure that two get political power to be able to implement that. Okay. Can we imagine a situation where they are coming up with all these big earth-shaking things that they want to do in this country, and then you hand power to William Ruto?
I want to ask him a question before I come to him.
Will he really be the one under whose watch you'll bring those fundamental changes in this country?
What would the problem be? What would that problem be if William Ruto would be the one they would midwife it, but he would be the one to implement it? What would be the problem?
It is very difficult for this kind of changes we are talking about to be implemented by people other than these two who have come up with them. Because in the process of moving towards that implementation, you are going to offend a few people. Okay. You are going to injure a few people. Okay. You are going to stop one or two people from going to State House, because then how does he become part of that team that moves towards stopping from being president?
But he should have not been left out to begin with. But my question is, I want to finish with him, then I come to you.
That's the point I want to come to.
How comes this realization? When Uhuru Kenyatta was being elected in 2013, there was the talk of being the son of a former president. It came up, right? There was the talk of from Kikuyu to Kikuyu. It came up. So how comes right now in 2019, 2018, when the BBI began, how comes that's the time Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga realizes that two communities cannot be leading this country?
As we move towards 2012, the election was supposed to have taken place in 2012, except now that interpretation
of the constitution,
the new constitution. Yes. As we move towards 2012, there was a strong team of Kikuyu led by the likes of Njonjo. Congratulations on his birthday. I think it's just around the corner. 100 years.
How old is he now?
100 years. People like including the SKs and Joe and Juice.
Even Jenga Karuna was
very powerful Kikuyus who are selling this narrative to their community, that in order for us to enjoy peace, and they were borrowing from what has happened in other countries like Ghana, where you have one populous community. Yes. It is always in their interest to be nice to the others because they have a head start in terms of business and education and everything else. Let's enjoy what this country has to offer in terms of business and other things, But that will not happen if we are holding political power. It is better to give all this political power, just like Americans decided
To make Obama
in
president.
the 21st century, it was no longer tenable for them to continue moving. They had to give this president to a woman or a black person. So they give it to a black person. And now these Skin and Jonjos were saying, it is in our interest as a community to leave this thing and give it to another community. And the most deserving community, according to them, was the Luo community through Raila Odinga. They failed. But the main reason why they failed, and remember even the Mudavadi Madimon thing, it was real. In the same narrative.
Yes, yes.
They failed, it failed to materialize because of the ICC.
Okay.
If the
There was something to
ICC
protect.
wasn't around,
It would have worked.
the Raila factor would have worked, or Mudavadi would have become president. Because this is a realization. As early, in fact, it cost Raila the president. In 2011, if you told any serious Kenyan that Kibaki would be succeeded by Kikuyu, I remember somebody almost punched me in the senior common our club. This guy is very close to Raila. And I was telling you people, that's the mistake you are making. Assume there's going to be a very tough Kikuyu rally. Oh, yeah, nobody believed it. So it's still there. Is a narrative that really makes a lot of sense and is in the interest of the country and even the community self. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof. I think your analysis is perfect. Ken,
I understand.
Ken,
Yes.
this is really what I feel some Kenyans want to be, the story that needs to be told. We have absolutely no problem with William Ruto succeeding Uhuru. We are expecting that because what happened in 2002, 2007, 2013 cannot continue happening. And for us in these communities, when you go to the outside communities, leave Central. When you go to the other, go to Coast. Uhuru is extremely popular. Uhuru is popular in Kisii. Uhuru is popular in Nyanza. Uhuru is popular in Western with Raila. Why? Because the public who are affected by this issue of the frequent tribal sectarian wars because of either failed elections or because of hoarding of power, these two individuals have come and they have said, yes, we know we have a problem.
Okay.
We have stolen elections. We know that we have been employing only our relatives and friends. We need inclusivity to be part of us. There's a problem about Ndugu Commission, which we never looked at. People's land has always been misappropriated, and all these things. That is why BBI, even when there is alternative narrative, which comes from the Deputy President's side, I would really have wished. Hold on.
There's no alternative narrative.
No,
I think the DP is supporting the BBI.
Hold on.
Is.
What I would have wished, and up to now I wish for it,
Okay.
that the Deputy President can come to those rallies. Are you with me? Be with us.
Why do we need a
Can come to meetings. That's another question you can ask, then we can answer. Can come to the meetings because Bomas, it's pole pole. Bomas, when you left from Bomas, what did you say? What did the president say? Take these things and take them
In January, we start popularizing this.
Exactly.
Yes.
So here again, you listen to him. What is he saying? Who said we want those meetings?
Ken, let me just
So
say.
my last comment is this. I think the Deputy President is entitled. He should run for president. I've said how many times I've said how the guy is actually qualified, and if need be, let him run, and Kenyans will make a judgment on that. But what many of us are also saying is this: we must be sensitive as Kenyans to realize that some of our communities have been saying we need a country that is open.
Okay.
We need a country that is inclusive. We need a country that will forgive each other. And we need a country when we are going to be employed, we don't look at where you come from. We want a country where, Mwaura, the way you see, you've been fighting for the albino community. You've done a fantastic job. Now, Kenyans know your skin color and who you are as an albino never determines your destiny.
Okay.
That's what we
By
want
the
in
way,
this country.
before Nelson comes in, now that Manyora looks at me directly, but you don't say albino, you say person with
Person
albinism.
with- sorry.
And
Yeah,
I'm
person.
very happy that
Thank you, sir.
they
Thank
have,
you. Sorry
my
about
people,
that.
I was
Sorry
able to
about
fight for them
Yes.
to be counted for the first time,
Yes.
and also intersex people.
Yes.
Now, you know, the small communities, the people who are playing the game you are saying, of seeing the division of the big major tribes and coming in are the Somali. They have really succeeded because Duale today is a leader of majority.
Yes.
A minority, the leader of majority. And it's okay. It's fair to have those equal opportunities.
They have learned the game.
Wherever. But you see, don't advance. You know, Matiang'i, for example, by the way, very few Kenyans even remember his Akisi. They look at him as somebody who, particularly when he was in the Ministry of Education, was able to make genuine, deserving Kenyans who are being rigged out of university, but who are paying 30,000 to get an A, to get an opportunity to become people.
That is true.
And that remains. And that is the currency that we have. In fact, I was asking people around, so for if today Matiang'i was a candidate, believe you me, they say they would vote for him. True. But do not sell him as a Kisi candidate.
Exactly.
No. You will have failed him because by the end of the day, we have very good leaders, like even Akina Kivuda Kibwana, even to some extent I can say Oparanya, who have performed, in fact, to a very good extent, who have performed in their backyard, and they have just been altruistic. Now, let me come to the issue of positions. And Nelson Koech was very right. If you look at the position of deputy president, it's a very weak position. By the way, it has nothing. It's only that the current occupant has made it very powerful by sheer force of his personality. And of course, by the magnanimity of President Kenyatta, who did not want antagonism like the one we saw in the Grand Coalition. So he allowed actually the deputy president to thrive. That one, we must give it to President Uhuru Kenyatta at any given point. If you are to create the position of prime minister, who also is going to be sacked, Beth Mogo said it very clearly, you cannot create two centers of power, who is also going to be sacked. And remember, we who are in Kikuyu land, we are also saying we have had this presidency for quite some time.
Excuse me, what did you call yourself?
We who are in Kikuyu land. Yes.
That's where the Kikuyu, why? That's where the Kikuyu come from.
No,
why wouldn't you want Matiang'i to be a Kisi?
No, just listen. We who are in Kikuyu land are saying we have had many presidents. And it's true. It's a fact. Three, isn't it?
Yeah.
And by the way, if you are to calculate, let me give you the mathematics which can aid your argument. If you have to calculate the number of years that a Kikuyu president has been,
12
is actually 35 after the President Uhuru.
Yes.
And if you are to add on to the number of Kikuyus who have been vice president minus Saitoti, who is neither Kikuyu or wherever, it is another 12 because it is 11 of Kibaki and another 9 months of Josephat Karanja. That's 57. If you are to do the same for Kalenjin, it will come to 56.
True.
So we are very much aware of the fact
you
that...
need another explanation.
No, just listen. I told you...
Mwaura, you need another explanation.
Richard, listen. I told you I'm giving you an arsenal to aid you. I told you.
The next BBI meeting.
I mean, I declared that interest.
Proceed, my brother, proceed.
We in Central Kenya know very well that we may not be having the ambition of having one of our own to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta, who comes from our backyard. But also we are saying we would want still to be president because there must be value. There must be value for our 6 billion votes.
Exactly.
However, we must also rise above those contestations. Why am I saying so? Nelson Koech is raising a very important question. The people who are going to occupy these positions will be leaders of ethnic communities. What I call, in my whatever, ethnopolitical derivatives. People who cobble up something. And if we are looking for this magic bullet to heal our country, if I know I will be a premier by virtue of my ethnicity and the people I come with, is it in my interest to create nationalism? So that is a question we must ask ourselves. Because we are trying to create a system that works so that we do not move to the edge of the precipice. Currently as constituted, and because of the dishonesty and the subterfuge that BBI is kind of trying to be shaped into because of the political contestations, we are going back to the edge. Is that going to help us?
Right. By the way, that's a lie. That's a statement you are making for political reasons. Just wait.
No, I need to talk to Koech also.
I have to talk to
You will come to talk tomorrow.
Koech will speak. Wait.
I need Koech to speak before I come back to you.
Mwaura, you've not even read the BBI report.
No, I have read it.
Have you read it? What is it that you disagree with?
The BBI report is very good at diagnosing the problem.
Yes.
The only challenge is that it makes a capsule of a premier as a solution to the problem.
Hold. You are a legislator. Your job, when we draft the bill, that is when you'll be solving the problem.
I'm happy that now there's a team of technical experts
who are going to come up and tell us how to solve the problem.
Who should be bold enough to propose radical changes in the constitution.
But you are opposing it.
who has opposed it.
But that's what you
Now,
just said here.
Richard, you are polemic. No. I never opposed BBI. I've never, in fact.
Then in that case, I withdraw.
I am a columnist in the Star every weekend, and I've written extensively about the BBI.
Yes.
What I'm opposing is the weaponization of the BBI.
Okay. I agree with you.
To produce winners and losers.
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm against.
How do you know? Because we've not even reached there.
Let me tell you.
Why
I agree, in this country. I agree with Manyora. Number one, I have been in the constituency the entire, like a week and a half, last week and the week before. And I can tell you, they don't have the BBI documents. Now, look at it.
They are nowhere in
I'll
Kenya.
give you, Richard.
Sorry.
So when you tell us that you're now doing rallies, then again, it's becoming an elitist kind of thing. It should come from Mwananchi to say, this is what I feel should be changed. So what I saw about the Kisii rally, and I'm glad that today we have a committee that now we can directly engage with, rather than these barazas that are out there guzzling and field guzzlers and all these guys who are busy in barazas.
Which you always guzzle with your rallies when you are going for Tanga-Tanga rallies.
Make sense. In fact, let me tell you, the Kisii rally turned out to be something different. It was actually a bashing ground of the deputy president. It turned out to be where insults were going to be exchanged, and yet they were talking about building bridges. So I want to say that we need copies of this document. No one has refused it.
We've called for it also.
We really want to give it out to the people on the ground so that people can start now, knowing what exactly we're discussing, and then now we can channel our proposals to the committee that has come out. So that is what we are waiting for. But I can tell you for sure, the rally that was in Kisii was a platform for particular individuals to showcase their lineup for 2022 and to start politics.
No,
that is the point. Other than Matiang'i, who else was not ODM?
I was not ODM.
No, of course, but you are lying to Matiang'i.
No.
That's why you want to.
Now you
can punch someone even when he talks about Matiang'i. In fact, I was warned before coming here that.
No.
Be careful when you mention Matiang'i.
As a member of parliament with me, you are passing aspersions on my character.
I am not.
Which is not good.
I'm not. You are extremely confident. I'm with you in the
right here.
But I'm right here. I've not punched you. I wouldn't punch you. But let me now tell you, whether you people like it or not.
What do you mean?
William Ruto, wait, I'm talking about Kenyans who happen to be supporters of DP.
Yeah.
You taught us how you take your candidate, then you train him, he now waits for the adversary, then he negotiates, then he takes the loot home.
So what is it?
So wait. So what have we done? We have taken our candidate.
Manyora, are you from the BBI kitchen?
Just wait.
Imagine.
No, I'm not.
He's saying he's taken their candidate.
You know the food was
and their candidate is Matiang'i,
no,
who is supposed to be the interior minister.
You guys are not listening.
He's a competitor.
You are not listening to me. You are not listening.
You are giving us a very good
to
political strategy.
Yes.
We are listening.
Listen to me. The Kisii community has decided, whether you like it or not, that we are going to be on the table when the negotiations will take place for the development, for the political development of this country. Point number one. Take it or leave it. We have said we expect the Luhya community to do the same because we expect the coastals to do the same. That is what you just mentioned Duale here. That's what the Northeastern community has done. They have strategically put Duale in Jubilee and they have taken Junet and put him in ODM. We are not going to play those games anymore. Number two, we were not going to Kisii to lambast anybody. Listen to me. Wait, Manyora. We didn't go to talk. Some people veered off for their own interest. But if you watch all the clips about the discussions which were taking place at the BBI, the people who were teaching the public were saying, these are the issues which may be outstanding. When the time comes, please give these views when the reporters come from the government printer, look at it, and MCAs were told to go to the village and start engaging.
Richard Onyoka, do not demolish Matiang'i. We love him.
I am not demolishing Matiang'i.
But from that kind of narrative,
no,
you are not advancing his cause.
He's a candidate. Matiang'i is a candidate.
Which candidate?
No, you're saying we have identified one person.
But we must have a leader.
The leader is no question.
I can tell you, every body language suggests
you guys are scared of him.
We are not scared.
Yes.
Why would we?
The guy is a leader. He has proved himself. Listen,
can be fired the same way he's a very junior person.
No, that is what you people don't want us to say.
No.
You
don't want us to say. What we are saying. Allow me, Professor. Professor.
But you have to allow others to speak also because you
don't own Matiang'i. Matiang'i is
my friend. And I don't want us to make him the subject of discussion here.
But that's what they've been doing.
He's also a good man.
That's what they've been doing.
They
attack him every day.
Let's not talk bad about a good man.
They attack him every day.
He's also a Kenyan.
Yes.
And he's entitled
He can run for office. Kwani?
I also agree with you, Nyonka, that 2022 will be a boredom kind of politics.
We have to be prepared.
Every community will have a representative at the table.
Whether you're in the opposition or whether you're going to be in government.
Excellent.
The only thing I wanted to say, you people are talking about copies of the
BBI report.
BBI report. I see people can read. Of course, they will not read. You are talking about order. I was telling somebody, you don't expect order with the BBI. This is a political process. This is politics itself. You get it? So, I've been advising the side of the deputy president to match the politics that Uhuru and Raila are playing. This is the politics they are playing. You get what I'm saying? So if you want to move towards your ambition, then you have to match the politics these guys are playing. And the beginning point, and I've said this before, is to look at BBI as a political process. There will be nothing that will come to you straight. Even if you say that you want very clear provisions in the constitution, they can give a very weak presidency, okay, or a very weak premiership, and then Uhuru and Raila, their team wins. After they win, they vanquish the Ruto side, because believe me,
Uhuru and
whoever loses the elections in 2022, if William doesn't join these people. Whoever loses, whether it is William winning and Uhuru and Raila lose, whoever loses will be vanquished. Take it to the bank.
Are you saying
so
now listen. You saying Uhuru is a candidate?
No, I'm saying Uhuru is
Isaac Mira.
I get scared when you talk about.
Isaac said it.
Senator Cheriot called me when I talked about that.
He's the prime minister candidate, yes.
I mean,
listen, my friend, I've said here before, Uhuru will be part of the arrangement.
Or rather, wield power from behind.
Whether,
but he said he doesn't need
it
directly.
But in Sagana, he said,
mkinipatia ni sawa.
I was making a point. Please, let me just finish. You see, they can win. After winning, then they vanquish the opposition. And immediately after the election, they will bring a constitutional change. Because now the opposition is so vanquished.
Now you are scaring.
Then now
you are scaring Mwaura. You are really scaring
Now they will bring a referendum. Listen, they will bring a
true.
referendum shortly thereafter. Now they have all the power without any pretext and say this is the kind of prime minister we want. And this is the kind of president we want.
Can I tell you something?
You get what I'm saying?
Can I tell you?
Yes, Isaac.
That is not going to happen.
Okay.
And that is actually the fear of us in Mount Kenya region.
Why not?
If today you are to say even Uhuru Kenyatta is a prime minister, let's say he's the one.
Or a president.
First and foremost, the advancement of Uhuru being prime minister is more, I don't think it's more so for him, but the people around him.
Yes.
Because they are fearing that they will lose power and they cannot transfer the same to Ruto if he was to be president, for example. And it is not just a question of ethnicity. The Kikuyus who are around Kibaki did not translate into the inner circle of Uhuru. They stand because we associate as friends. There are people who went to campus. There are people we've grown with in politics. But this is the point. Central Kenya as a province, leave alone the Mount Kenya diaspora, we have only 34 parliamentary seats.
Okay.
In the event where you have a weak prime minister, who happens, for example, to be Uhuru Kenyatta or whoever that can occupy that position, because we don't know, and Raila Odinga or the other person is the president, you remember what happened between Kibaki and Raila about creation of the position of prime minister? Who would want a strong prime minister? Who will be donating that power? After you win power, you will even want to even say, you have 34 MPs, go away and appoint another premier, and believe you me, in parliament you still get a coalition, even though the people in the opposition. So we can see that danger, and that is why you saw me leading Mount Kenya MPs together with Jeremiah Kioni, saying one man, one vote, which was a game changer of the BBI.
Okay.
I wanted
one man, one vote.
He's talking about parliamentary.
I wanted
it was a game changer. That's why it created a strong president and weak prime minister.
Professor Manyora,
instead of
you see, Ken, even when this issue that Mwaura is bringing has been discussed severally, it's like it has already been concluded. What we are saying, we need to be a people who are willing to sit and discuss and take what is best for our country.
Okay.
Those who want to smother in the BBI because they think, and you know, there's this thing of Raila being a demon all these years and Raila is the one who should be hanged and everything. Manyora, you've been with Raila. Do you really think Raila is a dictator? You've been with him for 10 years. You've worked with him in the trenches. We've been beaten up. We've been smoked. Gunshots have been thrown to us.
No, you're making it too difficult for Manyora, please.
I think you shouldn't answer that question. You don't have to answer it.
I have my opinion about Raila Odinga.
Yes.
And I have my opinion about William Ruto. I have an opinion about Musalia Mudavadi. Yes. I have an opinion about Uhuru Kenyatta. You know, I've worked with almost all of those leaders in one way or another. Yes. Some of them we were together in ODM and they differed. So it's not really about who the person is. This is a political contest. It's about people.
For me, what I'm saying...
Because you also create some... You see, the leadership of an individual like you and I is symbolic. It's not about more so about your personal traits. Sometimes they amplify to make you sellable.
What I'm saying is we can actually have a change in this country that is a change that is that can be believed in.
Okay.
I believe that this thing is not about Raila and William Ruto. I believe that if you were to analyze William Ruto individually and try and give him a mark, the guy is above 50, 155, he's above William. He's about 50. If you were to analyze Raila, it's the same thing. My argument is we need to encourage each other with our brothers in Tangatanga that this thing is not about...
Pointing at him?
No, I'm not pointing at him. I'm just using the table. Okay, let me talk to you. Professor Manyora, we need...
No, saying correct is Kelereke. It's like saying Kamanda is Tangatanga.
Yes. We need to talk to our brothers and agree that we can sit down and these 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 leaders can sit down and come up with a document. When the experts have sat...
Let me know something important also.
I need Mheshimiwa Koech to say something. I also need
something very important that we might lose in the process of all this discussion.
Yes.
Today, I come from an area that is predominantly Tigray. And I want to really applaud the president today for what he did. First of all, Senator Cheriot, Honorable Manyura's colleague in the Senate, has a T-Bill 2018, which is going to come to, it is already in Parliament, second reading, and that is largely on the message the president had today. The tea sector largely relies on the policies that will come out from that very beautiful a bill by Honorable Cheriot. That I must applaud. I must applaud the president for going to releasing money to mop up a lot of tea, a lot of milk that was rather being poured across the country and having it as a border. That is also something very, very positive outside politics. The Cherry advance, that is, if it is going to be operationalized, that is something very, very beautiful. And we must also applaud the president for that. So I think if we engaged on things that are very constructive like this, then again, at the same time, we'll be speaking to Monanji. Instead of all the time, we have all these discussions around BBI or about rallies.
Who does this? Why are you saying all the time as if you're never part of it?
Let me tell you, without this committee being gazetted yesterday, we were going to get into an extremely different platform and temperatures were rising.
You know, the way is ruthless.
When he wants to speak, he speaks his mind.
I was in Serena today, and there's a team already that was ready to respond to, and it was becoming, now you speak, I respond. It was getting very nasty. And I must appreciate.
Gentlemen, I'd like to play this soundbite from Deputy President William Ruto, and then we can conclude or continue this discussion because time is also running out. Well, let's listen to William Ruto.
A report that has been accepted by all Kenyans. Why is there a campaign? Why are we using public resources? Where do they find money to go campaigning for a document that has no opposition?
All right, this is very interesting. Deputy President, first, from the top of my mind, Deputy President William Ruto, Deputy President, should not be complaining of the use of resources. He's a Deputy President. And for opposition using this. But anyway, before I come to you, gentlemen, when the BBI report was released by the task force, I hosted Mheshimiwa Onyonka here. And he sat where you sat. And he was extremely angry. If I could play you a soundbite about the BBI report. Then the other day I see you in Kisii.
Oh, I'll explain.
Well behind
I'll explain. When I first got the report, I actually got the wrong report. Remember there were two
circulating.
Yes, so I had read the wrong one. By the time we finished with you in the studio and I got home is when somebody called me and said, the one you are attacking is not the one that has... In fact, the one that was put on road, the proper one came after our show.
So it's not like you've seen the light?
No. I have got the right BBI report, one.
And you support it now?
35% going to the county governments, so long as the money goes to the wards under the...
But those are some of the things we discussed then.
No, but the one which, you see the one which, Dr. What's his name? Aukot.
Ekuro-Aukot,
That's
the Third Way Alliance.
That is the one.
That's the one that informed the discussion.
Exactly, and then that one was slashing off, and I said it wouldn't pass. Why? You can't change constituencies. You can't change counties.
Ken,
Right.
the reason why ODM was not happy with the report, and Tanga, if you think it's Tanga, were happy because it was not what people expected.
Yes.
You had people like Atroli sounding very annoyed about it.
Yes.
They wanted a restructured government. The things people were conversing
Yes.
were never in that report, really, not in the sense in which they should have been,
Yeah.
including the devolution,
Yes.
including the structure of government,
Yes.
and so on and so forth. They were not in that.
Taking money to the wards. Remember, it was a very
So
sensitive
I'm
issue.
trying to help some people understand this game. I'm telling you, this is a political game. That was not the report. I said it before.
Thank you.
The one we saw that
Yes,
was
they
circulated.
could not release the report. It couldn't say the things because the temperature was so bad in the country. If you release the real report, they could have been.
So what did they do? What did they do?
So they tossed this thing to the public now.
To confuse us even more.
Now.
And you remember there were like 3 or 4 reports.
Now they have come here with another 6-month extension. It is still the same game. They are buying time, and 2 things will happen. One, once they see the mood is good,
They released the real report.
the environment is conducive,
Yes.
you will not know how the referendum bill
Will
appear. It will just appear now. And this is why, you people, you need to buy me a cup of tea.
Well,
In the event it doesn't become possible to do what exactly they want to do, the BBI people, take it from me, and I've said it here a short while ago, they will usher in 2022, go through an election, and they will win the election.
vanquish the opposition.
The reason why they are likely to win, I like William, and I actually hope he wins. But why the Raila team is likely to win, finally the Mount Kenya people, when I'm talking, you listen. Finally the Mount Kenya.
They are divided.
Finally the Mount Kenya people.
They'll support Uhuru.
They will face Mount Kenya, all of them, without exception. And the reason why they will face Mount Kenya is because their stake is going to be made very clear, extremely clear. We are the people who are still in power in this country, but we are now going to share it with somebody. Yes. But we are the ones in power.
And
so
we'll manage it
immediately
this way.
after the election, if that thing is not achieved now, immediately after the elections, then you see the really thing on the table. And I'm telling you, if there was a weak president, it can be Raila's house. If it is some kind of arrangement where Raila is this and somebody else the other, after independence,
to Sidebar.
things just...
People are revealing their strategies here.
But he's a political commentator.
Things might change overnight.
I got one from
So in short, what I'm saying,
professor.
just in short, what I'm saying, if you don't see the BBI for what it is, those of you, especially in Tanga, you lose this game. And you will not only lose, you lose so badly, you will not even want to look at each other.
Okay.
But maybe, Ken, let me just maybe give validity to what Professor has said, because he's a professor, he's very objective. The one thing that may make the Handshake team to have an upper hand over the Tanga team is just what I said earlier on, the combination of state machinery and the opposition politics. Because now, let me ask today, if, for example, William Ruto was to find himself in the opposition, this is a very different terrain. Because William Ruto
is used to being in
William
government.
Ruto has never been out of, apart from the time we were in ODM, and we still shared Mnusumukate, William Ruto by then has never lost an election, remember? Even in his Eldoret North constituency, when it was that way. So you have rookies. Raila has mastered, in fact, he has dominated this space. Even when we talk about domination of political power, we may also want to talk about who is a Dion of political opposition, because you're always the next government and you always get something. But at the end of the day, will the youth also be able to rise and claim their stake?
Yes.
And talk about the Hustler Nation, about them also getting a stake? Because I am looking at it this way. If it's about succession, then it is very clear, Ken, that the more things change, the more they remain the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I want to finish. Gentlemen.
One last comment.
No, you still have time to comment.
Okay.
But I want to ask about, just briefly, your comments. And I'll begin with Mheshimiwa Nelson Kwaj. What is this order from above? Because if the persons in the caliber of the people we see doubting this word around and running with it and always claiming order from above and claiming being frustrated, even the deputy president claiming to be frustrated. Who is this person who is frustrating a deputy president of a country?
Let me tell you that, first of all, being a child of government, like Honorable Manyora did mention, I've never seen the opposition in my constituency until now that I'm elected. And the other day I went to Kilimani police station. And
I have never tested tear gas in my life. Yeah. I'm still recovering.
Welcome. After we were tear gas. And I'll tell you this, when it is, when we got to Kilimani and, you know, all these things, we were trying to find out what really was happening with Moses Kuria. There's a court order that has been verified. And even to people who I could talk to in my own language told me, you know, I think you're wasting your time here. You just go home. This guy will not be released. You will find him in court on Monday. So just go and relax. I just come from the constituency. And they said it was orders from above. Mm-hmm. I've gone around with the deputy president. He has never complained, but I was in Kisii just before Christmas with the deputy president, and we didn't see any senior police officer, for that matter. And again,
even government officer.
Yeah, any government officer who came to receive him. You know, you were received by an MCA, which I think those are things that deputy president can, you know, from his position, can argue. But, you know, from my angle, I look at it very differently. I look at it as, you know, abuse of office and total insubordination. Okay. Because we did not want a situation where today, and like I said before.
Did you say he was received by an MCA?
Yeah. So I will say something like...
And it's not the first time that's happening in Kisii. It's happened before. He's not smiling. Actually, that was a shocked face.
And those people who are wielding offices, any person who works
the chief,
who works, even who works in the, as a cabinet secretary, for whatever position, from experience of Kiunjuri today, you must know that you're just there temporarily. And that office, those powers, donated powers, can be vanquished in a minute today if you're fired. So you should never play into the hands, just allow me, Richard. You should never play into the hands of politicians when you are in the executive. You should try as much as possible to be as neutral. I mean, whatever differences that the president and the deputy or any other person could be having, it does not involve you in any way. Your job is to serve the government of the day and do that is just and right. So do not play into the hands of politicians, because you can imagine today the deputy president becomes a president and the person... Yes. Mm-hmm. And I saw today in NTV, former speaker Maalim explaining something. That, you know, what is this problem that today we are so hungry to get into power, and then when you get into power, you've been tear gassed when you're in the trenches, like Onyonka was saying, but when you get into power again, it is your turn now to take the other ones into the trenches. Why don't we finish this culture once and for all, so that when whoever comes in, we can enjoy as a country? Let me tell you, I want to be a person today who will be subjected to the rule of law. I can walk anywhere in this country, knowing that I have someone somewhere in office who will not take political side. What we are seeing at the moment on frustrations of the deputy president, they will pass. I mean, we have 2 years, and whoever will come and become the president shall be. But let us have institutions that are strong, that can be able to safeguard every individual's right, so that we do not suffer the way the deputy president. I really pray that the deputy president who is going to come, and if William Ruto is going to be the president, let him not face. And that is why even this BBI, we fully accept it, because there are things that we must change so that officers must be respected. What is the job of the deputy president today? He's just someone who's he's just here to tanga. As I finish. As I finish. Yeah, there's nothing that they have given. There is no job description. And that is why the deputy president is going around launching projects, because there is no, like Moro was saying, there's really, other than this teacher, and what the president had before will allow him to, you know, to go around and probably check on projects and all these things. There's really nothing about that office that you can be happy about. But now let us put some meat into that office, so whoever comes in future can enjoy that office.
I have a question
devoid of frustration from
I have a question for you before I get to the other gentleman, Mheshimiwa Kwaj.
Yes.
What happens if the state machinery
Yes.
that you're requesting that ordinarily the deputy president should be having since 2013, we saw him afforded all that machinery. What if this same state machinery that will be afforded to the deputy president is used to abuse the president?
Let me tell you one thing.
Because that's exactly what perhaps could be happening in this political rallies.
Let me tell you.
Yes.
But this, by the time you have someone like deputy, and I said, these people were elected together.
Exactly.
Remove William Ruto and leave President Uhuru Kenyatta and let us see if he was
Quite,
very, yes.
I don't think you've answered this question.
I'll make him
I'm getting
answer
into his
it.
point.
If you are president and you are a deputy president who's making his people insult you,
What would happen? Would you give that machinery?
Is it fair to say that people can respect the president and not respect the deputy
It's
president?
not fair to say
Yes.
that. You
So
can
But
say
is it
that-
fair
that-
to have a deputy president and his team insulting the
They
president?
have, I mean, let
Is
me
it
tell
fair?
you, I have had,
It is not
I
fair.
have had president even today saying, let us give room to people who can express themselves freely.
Which is okay,
And
but
we are maturing
fact, I'll ask
democracy to
a
believe
Which is
where,
okay.
where we are tolerated for what you say. That
Quite.
is a growing
Let me
Quite.
make this simpler. Let me make this simpler
Just
for
allow
you.
me, yeah.
Anytime members of parliament are seen to have misbehaved in court,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Their bodyguards are withdrawn.
Yes.
Anyone with official car is withdrawn.
Yes.
Why is that? Why does the state do that?
Because it's a way of punishment. That is why there has to be
So
law.
when the state machinery is on the ground, the deputy president is well received by the provincial commissioners, who, by the way, owe an allegiance to the country and the president. What happens when that state machinery is used to attack
Let me tell
the
you
president?
today. Let me tell
To
you.
recon-
Let
to
me tell you
recon-
today. Someone has been made a CAS this morning. Who I have his tweet today insulting the deputy president. Are we saying that the president is rewarding Zach for
Kinuthia.
insulting Zach Kinuthia for insulting the deputy president? Are we saying everyone now? Let me tell you,
Ken,
I look at even
Ken,
governors, how they come out
Ken.
boldly nowadays to say, oh, we do not want to be associated,
Ken.
we don't want tanga in our county. It is because
Ken,
they know.
Ken, I
they-
think
they
you're making
know
this show
there is
to be
somewhere where you can
deputy
be
president's
cleansed
defense.
and
No,
you
no,
will
no, no,
not
I
get
just wanted to
followed
understand.
by
Ken,
the security
you are
apparatus of
turning
this
this show
country.
to become a case where you want to defend William Ruto.
We are not defending William Ruto.
We don't want to defend anybody.
Okay, as I finish,
What I want us to do,
ask the president also to
What
look
has-
into
Just
the
let
maize.
him finish. Let
I
him
want the
finish.
president to look into the maize issue. It's covered well on many other areas. We have a problem at the moment.
Okay.
We might lack food towards the end of the year. We want the president to have addressed the issue of maize shortage that we perennially experience
face in the country.
Yeah.
Manyora, because I don't want to go back to the deputy.
Yeah.
I think that one is
Well,
done.
we
But
just-
you are being very unfair
I
to
just
me.
wanted to...
No, because
Yeah,
you just want
yeah.
to bash the deputy president. You want
No,
to
no,
platform.
no, no.
You want a
I
platform
just
to
want
bash
to
the
use
deputy
logic.
president.
I want to use logic.
Let us be
Manyora,
objective.
I want to
Let
use
us-
logic.
I'm talking
Which
about the-
other deputy president has ever behaved the way William Ruto behaved?
What has he done? It is a
Which
new
other
constitution.
in Kenya?
I think
Whether it's Kalonzo, whether it's who, look at how they behaved and how these guys
William
are behaving.
to make an
William Ruto is the
observation.
first deputy president.
In the new constitution.
Yes.
So
He's
that,
an
that
elected
means when you are
president.
deputy president, then you have to carry yourself differently?
How?
to make,
A vice president was usually even holding an office of
No.
foreign affairs,
If,
home
if
affairs,
you
and all.
want to
Doesn't
be
have an
treated as a king,
Yeah.
please behave like a king.
I think he behaves.
I wanted to make an observation in passing quickly that you will not give the deputy president power, substantive powers in any constitution. They have always argued the deputy president is like Prince Charles, a person who waits for that one moment when that office becomes vacant, either by death, resignation. That's what vice presidents do. They are just there to wait.
Absolutely.
Deputy governor. You can't give them substantive. There will be a lot of conflict. You can't be president and give somebody else your principal assistant. Nobody can give them powers in the constitution. You can assign them, and that's why the constitution says that. The other thing I wanted to mention before I talk about the powers from orders from above.
Orders from above, yes.
Is what you saw in Kilimani police station and what you have seen elsewhere. I have said you see a lot more of that. And I want to point out to you, and Manyora should be listening because he interacts with some of these guys from Mount Kenya. Very soon, people will begin running away from those guys.
Which guy?
These guys from Central Province who are hitting at the president. You give them 6 months. You'll be going to a hotel and people just begin to walk out. I'm telling you, this is this country.
That is dictatorship.
It's not dictatorship.
No,
You know,
we are going back to the
power is associative, my friend. Power is associative.
Reality is,
Let me tell you.
we are
But
in
now,
opposition. We've seen these things.
We need to be fair to the president of this country. Because when people say orders from above, and even others are lying with a straight face, that none other than the Kinoti can talk about orders from above, I doubt Kinoti could do that. Let's be fair to the president. During President Jomo Kenyatta's time, a lot of good things happened in this country. But there are also very bad and ugly things that happened. We have read and heard stories. That somehow many of these things, the president never knew anything about them. Perhaps because he was old, perhaps because sometimes his health was failing, but it is in the nature of high office that sometimes many things happen you don't know. So there would be many people who would take advantage of that kind of confusion to make it appear as if really Uhuru is ordering people to do those small things like Moses Kuria in Kilimani. Those are beyond the president. I doubt he can engage himself in such. But again, there will be always people who will be doing these things assuming the president will be very happy that they have done so. So, you know, this happens. And therefore, when you talk about orders from above, let's understand how power operates and those around power. They are overzealous. They want even to do things even if you got to know they were being done in your name, you can even slap somebody. So let's dismiss this idea and this notion that the so-called orders from above concerning somebody as small as Moses Kuria could be coming from Uhuru Kenyatta.
I think let me say this, and I agree with Professor a lot, because that is exactly what happens. You know, people who want to please you and who think that they are thinking for you. And especially for President Kenyatta, who really has not really, you know, he's a very good-hearted man, very good-hearted man. There are two lessons that I think we need to learn as a country about the political contestations. That number one, we saw how Raila and Kibaki related. So Raila was accused of upstaging Kibaki, and that didn't work well. In fact, my people say if he had humbled himself, the time he would have been president. The time he was being called Jamba when he was going to Nyeri. I remember I was a student at Kenyatta University and we saw them there with vehicles we had never seen before, thanks to the NAC dream. But then, that is lesson number one. So the issue is, now this time round, Uhuru never wanted that acrimony because they said they had learned from the Kibaki-Raila relationship. Because it's like the dynamic duo. So what did he do? He leaned back and allowed Ruto to shine. What is the consequence? The same. So you have to ask yourself this question, Richard, as an aspiring governor of Kisii, and Professor Manyora as the aspiring senator for Kakamega, for Vihiga, sorry. Yes. Do you want to have a deputy who, if they try to rise their head, you hit so that they can remain where they are? Or do you want to have a deputy who goes and helps you and you are the person, you know, remaining behind? That is number one, politics 101. Number two, we are trying to manage ethnicity here. Let's just face it. It's about which, who gets what, where, and how. So, has the model in Uganda worked? So you have the president. I was there when the Museveni made a reshuffle. So you have the president, you have the vice president, you have the Rukunda as a premier, and two deputies. Has it worked in bringing together the Basoga, the Baganda, and the northern tribes, basically the Luo tribes of Uganda? Look at Tanzania. You know, look at Joseph Pinda. Look at Kikwete. Look at Salma Suluhu. Again, I was there over December holidays. We need to start asking ourselves, because that's what we are looking at. Yeah? Because when we look at the case, Professor Manyora, you were talking about Obama coming in, the Americans were only cleaning their image because of the mess they had done in Iraq and the wars by the Bush, the two Bushes and what have you. So if we then are trying to clean the image, isn't it then okay to say that we find the right formula and the right people?
Thank you.
Because the people that I see who can really transform this country are not anywhere near being mentioned that they can win elections. People who have actually demonstrated. Yes. But with the elections of people like Sonko and Waitito, who we are waiting for him at the Senate, those are the kind of people who seem to be the ones that people prefer.
All right, gentlemen, I think...
I have no comment.
All right, gentlemen, let's take a look at the cartoon of the week. Then we will talk about who said what. Then we'll end the show. The cartoon of the week. Right, that's the cartoon of the week. Could you put it on the screens behind me to make it easy also? So that's our cartoon of the week from Gado on today's appointment. It's right here, Mheshimiwa Mora, if you can look at it. So basically, that's the cabinet, and then there's a reshuffle, and then voila, that's all we have. Let me begin with...
no, I'm still looking at it.
Let me say, this is my last...
No, it's not the last.
Okay,
yes.
Let me say
just on the cartoon only.
What I see here. And I say this at the backdrop of knowing that we are now doing BBI and trying to have an inclusive government. And I think what these people are saying is that it's exactly the cabinet is exactly how it was. Nothing really has changed, just a few names have changed. But if you look in terms of ethnicity and the regions, it is still the same thing. I would want to imagine that, and probably even same character. It's just moving one person from this point to the other and having new faces, but from...
I've seen it now.
You think Mutahi Kagwe is a good addition or not? With his experience?
It will be a good person, but I mean, let's see what he will do in
and also the cabinet, I think, has met the gender role now. You know,
it's a whole world of a difference from where he was before.
Yes.
But I mean, he's been a performer before. I wish him all the best. And, let's see.
I want to say, I think for me, I really found it very interesting. Monica Juma has always been somebody who's very strong. I'm happy she went to defense. I think Rachel Omamo, after serving for 7 years, might have gotten tired of being there. 2 or 3 individuals who were brought in. I think Mutahi Kagwe has a dignified reputation. Even when we were in parliament with him, he's a man we expect a lot from. I believe he'll be able to help the president achieve that. People had expected more. All right, there was this feeling that...
No, we didn't even know the reshuffling was going to happen.
Many people were hearing about it, but people had expected more in terms of the war within Jubilee, but I think the president was very careful. He was really careful, and I think he was sending an olive branch to the Tanga team and saying, you guys, we have not collapsed yet. Can we still look for a way how we can talk so that we salvage the BBI and work together and take the country forward?
So you think it's a cosmetic change or not?
What has happened? To a large extent, yes, but what it did, it can't be cosmetic, because I would have seen if there was a small picture of my brother from Laikipia, maybe after being
the makeup is there.
The kid is there. Okay. Let me
see. Yes. I think not much has happened, especially understood from the point of view that many people have always been asking Uhuru Kenyatta in the past 2 or so years to really reorganize his government in light of what has been happening in this country. And if you are looking at any change that has left certain individuals in cabinet, then people are tempted to imagine, to say, well, there's no change. Because there are people who have committed crimes against this country in the manner in which they have either managed or mismanaged their ministries. Because if you are given a responsibility as a cabinet secretary, it's a very serious responsibility, a position of trust. And whatever you do from that position will affect this country for many years to come. And when you make it your routine to scheme and steal billions and destroy everything in your work, so that by the time your 5 years as CS are over, nothing is left in that ministry, then we were expecting those kind of people would not be there. But when people like Mutahi Kagwe come in, this is my friend, he's a very good man, he has proved before he's a good man. But then there are also people like Manyora who has not been brought in, and who should have considered if we really wanted change.
Okay, great. Isaac,
no, I agree.
Professor Manyora, it's not the way to ask for a job.
You need to go to places.
The president watches the show. So
that's how Trump employs his people.
Let me say this. First and foremost, Gado has done a very good job, because if you look at the person orchestrating the change in the cabinet, it looks like a bishop. You see, like
no, that's the king. That's the king.
It looks bishophoric, it's like, making the makeup. But, this is a pig, and it's like a female pig kind of thing, with the whatever mammary glands there. And anyway, that's the comedy side of it. Look at it, I want to look at it from politics. And by the way, Professor, to give you heads up, you see Zaki Nodia now is a CAS. That is how people get jobs, and and I'm very happy for him. He's my personal friend. In fact, we had spoken just yesterday. Today is a CAS. So congratulations, Zaki Nodia. He's a very brilliant guy, by the way. He's very, very gifted, and I hope he can help us to move issues of education. Look at Lina Jebi Kilimo also. I mean, who expected her to come back? He has been minister before. He was made assistant minister. And then now he's come as CAS. Congratulations to her. You see some kind of musical chairs, because Ambassador Monica Juma used to be the PS defense.
Yes.
When I came first to Parliament. And she was brilliant. We used to be out by the way she was answer questions. So she's been taken back there. And then Rachel Omambo, who was the ambassador in France has been minister. So you can see Rachel has won over that. That is actually a win because foreign affairs is very influential. And I wish that they will work together with Ambassador Macharia Kamau, who is a very seasoned diplomat. But generally, then Mutai Kagwe, obviously, we have said that he's a great man. We have seen also Munya winning over Kiunjuri on this one. I mean, it's good to get, because also we have our own Kenya succession politics. Yes. So Munya also is ambitious. So he has stuck with the side of the president, and so he has, of course, gotten the reward for that. Kiunjuri has been said, go and be with your deputy president. You can as well be a running mate. And I hope Nelson Koech is not going to be dropped now that he may not be very attractive.
I didn't even want a running mate.
No, he's not a very good option, of course, for William Ruto, for Mount Kenya, and also to appease to the diasporians who also happen to be Rift Valley and who also seem to be closer to the sentiments about William Ruto. So basically, I think that is a game of chess, is how you play it. Okay. By the end of the day, these are the crowds. Now, Zachary, for example, if he wants to run for parliamentary seat, he will have the wherewithal. Okay. I mean, you can make all the noise, by the end of the day, let me not finish.
All right. Gentlemen, let's now play Who Said What for this week, and then you can have a minute each to close the show for us. Right, let's hear Who Said What.
My statement is very short, but it's not that I'm lacking in many things that I can say. Remember, for any action, there will be reaction. You keep it cool, I keep it cool. For any action, there will be reaction. I thank you.
All right, as brief as that was his statement. All right, gentlemen, we're closing the show, and I'll give you a minute each. It's well past our bedtime. But let me begin with Mheshimiwa Nyonka.
Yes.
Yes, your closing remarks, just in a minute.
Ken, let me tell you what my really deep thoughts are about our country. All these top leaders in our political class can actually sit, can talk. They can discuss among themselves. Because we've been through this journey together. William Ruto has been with Raila. Raila has been with William Ruto. We've been in the coalition government. Uhuru has been against us. We have abused him and insulted him. We have been everything. ICC has come, all these things. My honest observation is that we need to sometimes sit down and say, I think this country, we can sit and talk. Finally, it's exactly the same feeling I have about Miguna. Okay. The guy should come back home. He may make too much noise. Many people may not like him. Others will like him. But I think it's much ado about nothing. I think allow him to come. Allow him to come and talk about what he wants to change Kenya within the law. Allow him to do that. And let's make our country a little bit more friendly for everybody. Well that's really what I feel right now.
Well said. Well said. Mheshimiwa Koech.
Spot on. Kenya is our country. This is 2020. Let us focus now. Let us get down to work. Let us work for the people of this country. Let us improve our economy. Let us improve our dairy sector. Let us improve our coffee sector. Let us improve our tea sector. Let us have youth of this country being observed in mainstream employment and even creation of jobs for the people of this country. That is extremely what is important for the people, and even us in the political class, that is extremely what will be important going forward. So I will want to urge the country, like as we even go forward and coalesce for the BBI, let us do it soberly. This is our country. Let us have a very positive discourse over this program that we're about to engage in, and let us not be seen to be breaking bridges and barriers on individuals. Let us come together as a nation, work together, because this is our country. Thank you.
Well said, Mheshimiwa Manyora.
Yeah, I want to really say that this has been a very good show, and as we begin the year, we will see more politics. You know, as politicians, we went very well, but tomorrow will be the one saying all the other things. You cannot rule out Uhuru Kenyatta in Mount Kenya region. That would be to your peril. I mean, you cannot dismiss him. He still has his supporters, and he still has he wields state power. So you must always consider that when you do your question. I think we need an opposition, Richard Onyonka, because we have seen what it means not to have opposition, because there is no divergent views. And now we are appreciating the role Raila Odinga was playing when he was in the opposition, because even the people now are becoming oppositionists are the ones within Jubilee. So politics are very, politics are very polemic. There is always a fissure. So people will always be divided. Finally, is to say that it's very saddening to hear a young man by the name of Benson, who is disabled from Joytown Special School, who was admitted at Thika High School and was denied admission today because of his disability. I think that is not acceptable. We cannot be talking about discrimination. And I've spoken to the PS Education, Dr. Belio Kipsang. I hope you can take up that matter so that that child can also be given an opportunity to go to school with others like any other.
All right, and I think that's something that we'll try as NTV to follow up tomorrow, now that you brought it to our attention.
Yes.
And finally, Prof.
We discussed about Cabinet Uhuru's move today and BBI. On Uhuru's move, I want to say he has proved some people wrong. He has shown that he's on top of things. And as a teacher, when I was marking the script today, I've given him 70%. I hope this will be improved to 80 and 85. That equally also means those on the other side of the divide should be a little more careful, and they should go back to the drawing board to match this score of Uhuru today. On BBI, much as I've said is a political game, it is nevertheless something we can use to change this country. And actually, indeed, BBI will affect this country for many years to come, whichever way it goes. But finally, I want to say this, Ken, even as we talk about reshuffles, we talk about BBI, we must continuously be aware, especially the leaders, that many Kenyans are going home, are going to bed hungry. There's so much poverty in this country. Schools have opened and there is just chaos.
Absolutely.
Even as Magoha, my boss, says no child shall be sent away, I wonder whether he lives in this country. Many parents have their, you are an MP, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
Many parents have their girls and boys at home. We must find ways to ease the burden from Kenyans. So even as we talk this politics of BBI, you leaders, just know that a majority of Kenyans are suffering so badly that unless you do something, they will not let you enjoy the good things you have made for yourself. If you want to enjoy what you have made and a little of what you have stolen, ensure you ease the burden of Kenyans.
All right, gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for coming for this show. But before I thank you, because you didn't even wish people New Year, well, it's okay. Yeah. Let's do the final part of the show. And Mwangi Kiunjuri becomes the second cabinet secretary to be fired by President Uhuru Kenyatta since he took over in 2013 now. The other former cabinet secretary to be unceremoniously dismissed was Rashid Echesa, who was asked during the first quarter of 2019. Now, the decision of the president to reshuffle his cabinet is informed, among other things, the need to strengthen his government. But there's also the need to replace Henry Rotich, who's facing charges in court, which also necessitated the reshuffling. So was the need to weed off, if I may say this, bad apples from that basket or from his cabinet. And inevitably, Kiunjuri had to go. So tonight, we take you back to the period when the cabinet was not fully constituted and the headlines that followed then from the Daily Nation. So we begin with July 24th of 2019. Cabinet reshuffle, that was the headline, and Uhuru's headache. Then a day later, Uhuru surprise wildcard, and of course that was about Ukuri Yatani. And today Ukuri Yatani has been confirmed to replace Henry Rotich as the cabinet secretary in charge of Treasury. 1 month later, that was August 24th, Uhuru hands Matiang'i more power for the second time this year. And of course, you remember why that happened. And finally, on September 30th, the inside working of Uhuru's new state. That was the one you mentioned. There was every name, and Raila Odinga was also included in that. So that is something that cannot be ignored. And of course, it's also a good place to end the show tonight. Make sure you subscribe on the Sidebar YouTube channel because you'll be getting more of our videos. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. And my team here, thanks very much. It's 6 minutes past midnight. Let's do this again. Next week, same place, same time. And remember, the Deputy President will be on our show pretty soon. We'll tell you when. Have a good night.